Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Buffalo Talk Center. The Bills have won yet again here on Victory Monday. With me today is Cal. You streamed the game, Cal. What is your instant initial reaction?
Yeah, ugly game for the Bills. Of course, we got to look at the penalties first. Ryan Vandemark was not good on the offensive line. The defense playing that soft zone coverage and the run defense especially struggled. But we look at the final score, and if you didn't watch the game and you looked after and saw 31-19, you're probably pretty excited. But yeah, not a good game from the Bills. But we'll take it. It's a win. A win is a win. No major injuries, I don't think. Maybe Cameron Johnston got a major injury, which sucks for him. But all things considered, a decent week.
Yeah, not the most fantastic game. And Cal, you're taking the more optimistic approach to analyzing this than I am. I thought the Bills really played down to their competition today, not convincing whatsoever. And were it not for this easy schedule, I don't think the Bills would be undefeated right now. They took a miracle to
Mhm.
come back and beat the Ravens. They held off the Dolphins. Dolphins just shot themselves in the foot a bunch of times. And the Saints are the worst team in football. We're the worst team in football coming into this matchup into Buffalo. And somehow they made it a dogfight for 3 quarters. So I'm really down on the Bills right now. But let's start off with what worked. And Cal, what worked is again James Cook and the rushing attack. He had another very strong performance today.
Yeah, anyone saying that, we shouldn't have re-signed James Cook, myself included, needs to be silenced. James Cook is clearly your number one on this team. Ray Davis played one snap today, had a couple yards, but even then you could tell he wasn't as explosive or direct as James Cook has been this season. James Cook is having a monster year, set a franchise record or tied Thurman Thomas with the most touchdowns in a row with a rushing touchdown.
Yep.
It's just an incredible day for the Bills rushing game. I thought the offensive line did a good job run blocking. Pass blocking, not so much today. Cam Jordan, whoever he was matched up again, whether it was Van DeMark or anyone else on the interior, was able to get through pretty quickly. A couple sacks. Josh Allen, a couple mental blunders. It seems whenever we play a weaker team, Josh Allen gets a little more loosey goosey, throws the ball downfield a little bit more, but also he's getting rushed a little bit more this game and nobody's getting open for him. I thought Josh Palmer played good when he was targeted. Dalton Kincaid came up clutch at the end of that game, getting open, good play design. But for 3 quarters of that game, the tight ends were invisible. Definitely a scare. If that's against any better team, the Bills playing the way they did today with the guys they were missing, Ed Oliver, Milano, and Spencer Brown, not going to win that game, but they were lucky they were playing the Saints because they were able to squeak it out. And how about that Philly special play with Cole Bishop, huh?
Hmm. Well, we'll get to that. We'll talk about the defense in a sec. But yes, that was a fantastic play by Cole Bishop. I want to talk a little bit about that Josh Allen turnover because that second quarter as a whole, he looked unsettled. And I just want to make this very clear to our viewers and listeners. Spencer Brown he has a huge impact on this team. Case in point, today's offensive line performance. Josh Allen was sacked, what, 3 times? He was sacked a
At
total
least,
of four
yeah.
times going into this game. So three alone here. A lot of that pressure came from, as you mentioned, Cam Jordan working off Van There was that 4th and 3 play where Van did not handle his assignment, and Khalil Shakira ended up getting stymied at midfield. So Spencer Brown, huge miss for the Bills today. Hopefully he's back next Sunday night for the Patriots game. But Cal, I mentioned it and I deviated. Let's talk about that Josh Allen turnover. What happened there?
Yeah, that one was just a clear. I mean, I don't want to say it was an arm punt because I don't think it was deep enough to be considered an arm punt. But what I will say is he read the play wrong, and the cornerback that made the play. Trying to think of the name here. But he made it like four really good plays, and he on that one played the inside route. And the second Allen saw that and threw it over top, he was able to make up like 10 yards of ground in a matter of moments. Ran back. It was a really really good play for the young guy. His first interception in the league, and yeah, was able to make that a double coverage. Keon Coleman, I know they want to keep getting him jump balls, but when it's double covered like that on 3rd and long, seemed just kind of like a prayer. Throw it up, try to draw pass interference, and it's his first turnover. We go to the second almost turnover. His arm got hit because the line didn't block for him, and that was probably, if he doesn't get hit, a 5-yard check down to James Cook. So I don't think it was a mental blunder by Allen there, just bad timing. The guy got his arm, and could have easily flipped the script of that game super quick. But luckily, Allen was able to get the ball down enough where that ball had a little bit of forward spin on it, and linebacker couldn't come up with it.
You talked about a few minutes ago about how the Bills tight ends haven't really shown up at all for the team here in this Week 4 game. But Jackson Hawes had another huge
Yeah.
play, and I don't think we've devoted enough time praising the guy. He's come in at a fifth round pick, made the team out of camp, and he's been making a huge impact week after week after week now for this team.
Yeah, Jackson Hawes, and we drafted him as a run blocker. He was a Quentin Morris replacement. We knew that right off the bat. But going into camp and through preseason, we were kind of torn. Who should we keep on the roster, Hawes or Zach Davidson? We elected Hawes. I know me and you both projected that Hawes should make this team. He's a run blocker. We need more of a blocking tight end rather than a receiving tight end. He's honestly been able to do it all. And obviously, the coaching is impressed with him because he's out there for a whole lot of plays, whether it's to be a guy in motion to be a lead blocker on a play or a guy in a play action where he slips through, like we saw earlier this game, and gets the catch. It's an easy 10 yards, right? When they're never in 1,000 years thinking Hawes is going to get the hot route on a play action, especially, but he does. So it's someone that I think over time throughout the season, teams are going to start game planning, start watching the film and say, hey, when 85's in there, not only is he going to be a run blocker, but he might slip out and get some catches too. So I think he starts to get covered a little bit more. We saw in week 1, he had that monster catch downfield as well. So I really don't think you could have scripted a better start to Jackson Hawes' career. We'll see if it continues, but so far, dare I say, he's been more valuable than Dawson Knox on this team. I think it's got to be in consideration, if not a fact. But Kincaid is still your tight end number 1, and it was good to see him get that touchdown late in the game as well.
And Kincaid, he had that huge touchdown grab in the fourth quarter to really seal the deal here for the Bills. He's potentially having a breakout year in front of our eyes, Cal, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he absolutely is, and he's one of those guys who brings the energy on the sidelines. If you ever watch the mic'd up stuff, or if you ever pay attention when they cut to the sidelines, he's pumped up. He's running down the sidelines, getting the crowd involved too. So definitely a good locker room guy. And I'd say I don't know about Jackson Hawes yet, but Dawson Knox is the same way, right? Big energy guy on the sideline. So that's number 1. And yeah, we got to keep an eye on Kincaid because he's someone who in recent years has been streaky, right? Like he gets on a couple games in a row, or if he gets one catch, all of a sudden a few follow along, but he can go on stretches. I know last year he was hurt and it was unclear how injured he was. It turns out he was more injured than we thought, but he does go on runs of games where he's kind of invisible, and you got to kind of force the ball to him to get him going again, much like any other receiver in the game, but him especially. So I think we are on the breakout season for not only him, but Keon Coleman as well, who had a nice couple catches today as well.
Yeah, and Dalton Kincaid loves playing prime time at home. So if you have him in your fantasy teams, make sure to start him next week against the Patriots. Let's move over though towards the injury report. So there was a couple of scares here today. Terrell Bernard went down with an injury. He came back pretty quickly. He left the field on his own power. His heel was stomped by Jordan Phillips, and that is the same injury that happened to Ed Oliver a few weeks ago in
Yep.
practice. So just got to be a little nervy about that. AJ Epinesa appeared to still being bothered by a pectoral injury. He had a nice strip sack right at the end of the game, Kale. He seems to be okay, but really
Yeah.
the story here, Kale, was Cameron Johnston, the
Mhm.
punter, got murdered on a routine punt. He drew his second roughing the or punter call in 2 weeks now as the Bill starter. He hobbled off the field. He came back to hold for Matt Prater's 35-yard field goal to make it 31-19, but he had a pretty big knee brace on. It doesn't look good for Johnson, does it?
It doesn't, and he's just coming back from injury like that. He's getting older. This could have potentially be his last season in the league, maybe a couple more after that. I know punters can go a little bit longer, but initially you could tell his body was in shock. I don't know if you saw him spit up, like throw up a little bit on the
Yep.
field. Yeah, then that's like a clear definition of like something happened. He's just in shock. It probably has something to do with PTSD from his last injury too. But whenever the body does that, something's wrong. So he does that. He stays down on the field. Then he starts walking a little bit, and you got to think, he starts walking off the field, and it still could be an MCL or ACL. But at that point, you're like, okay, maybe he's fine. That mentality, though, that is a tough guy to go in that injury time after his leg got twisted like that, comes out with the knee brace on, says, F this. I've been injured for too long. I'm getting back in this game. You saw him when the Bills were debating going for it on 4th and 3 or kicking
He
the
wanted
field
to
goal at
get
the end of
out
the game.
there.
He's walking right down the field saying, come on, let's go. What are we doing? So it looks like a guy who knows he's injured, doesn't know the extent of it, but does not want this to be the end of his career. And he's going to do anything he can to not have it as the end of his career. The 2 punts he had before that were not necessarily the best ones. So I was bringing up on stream, maybe it's time to start looking for some competition. I don't know if he's going to be able to stay as a starting punter or not, depending on how serious this injury is. But what he does on the field aside, great guy, and he's coming back from a devastating injury like that. So hopefully he's all good, and at worst case scenario, misses a few weeks.
Yeah, and you talked about how he, even before that, two not very good, very short punts.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a mistake for this Bills team not to have a punting battle in camp?
Yeah, again, we talked about this in kind of the training camp videos and podcasts going forward. And me and you both were kind of confused why Brad Robbins was the only punter on this team. Yet they continuously said, he hasn't won the job yet. He hasn't won the job yet. So they kept saying that. And me and you were like, okay, well, he's probably going to get cut after a few games. Sure enough, week 1, his analytics come out. He's the worst punter in the league, analytically wise, and they release him. And we're sitting there like, why did we not bring anyone else in training camp to battle with him or at least get a spot? So then you bring in Cameron Johnston, and coming off the injury, you're hopeful that he can be a little bit better. And if you're the Bills, hopefully your punter isn't a big factor in your team. You're hoping you score on most possessions, and so far the Bills have. But yeah, interesting. I guess you can't really nail all the positions on the head, and the punter was kind of the forgotten man so far this year, and might come back to bite him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely been a problem so far, just like the Bills' third down defense. That has been a continuous problem. The New Orleans Saints on third downs in this week 4 game went 5 for 12, 0 for 1 on fourth downs. It was bad early, got slightly better as the game went on, but Cal, this is still a huge problem for this team.
Yeah, and again, I was saying on stream, you could throw out any defensive group out there under Sean McDermott's defensive system, and I see a lot of people like, oh, Bobby Babich this, Bobby Babich that. It's not Bobby Babich, it's Sean McDermott. And running this defensive system, third downs have always been a problem as head coach for the Bills. They play this zone, and the other teams know it. They watch the film. They know on third down, the 4 guys in front of them, they're not going to send a blitz most of the time on third down. The 4 guys in front of them, they're not going to get through. They haven't in years. You're going to have time to throw it, sit, wait for the crossing route over the middle. If you don't have time for that, go out wide, and you just got to shake a tackle. The Bills tackling this year, and again, the last couple of years has been really bad. We saw a couple missed tackles, Tre'Davious White, Dorian Williams. It cannot stay this way. So you got to get better tackling, because a couple of those Spencer Rattler scrambles, you got them and you miss a tackle or you get juked out of your shoes up the middle. All of a sudden that's a 4-yard and you're going to have to fourth down punt it to a 12-yard gain and you're on the other side of the field. So third down defense has to get better, especially against a weaker team like the Saints. But that's going to be one of the narratives. The Saints suck this year, blah, blah, blah. Kamara, Olave, 2 of the top offensive players in the league. Not top 3 at their positions or anything, but Kamara certainly has been in his career, and Olave is nothing to joke about. So Spencer Rattler, I thought, played a great game, and they were able to confuse the Bills' defense to the best of their ability. We had ourselves a game until the fourth quarter, so
Yep.
definitely a shocker.
Yeah, and I feel bad for Spencer Rattler. He is still has not won a game as a starter in the NFL. He is now 0-10. He joins the poor double digits club, including Deshaun Kaiser. Certainly not the group that you want to be in. But it's tough. Rattler is not bad. He can throw the ball. And some of those other guys on that list were just downright awful. Really bad. Zach
Yeah.
Mettenberger, really bad. Rattler, he's got some talent. He showed off some of those scrambling abilities, nice throws here and there. But for the Saints, a big problem for them was that they kept settling for field goals. You cannot do that against a team superior to them like the Bills. And haven't we heard? We've said that before about the Bills when they face off against teams like the Ravens or the Chiefs, right? You
Hmm.
cannot settle for field goals. And unfortunately for the Saints, that's what happened today. Bills were able to squeak out a victory. Whoop-de-doo. I do want to get back to the positives here. The defense did clamp down. and they got two big turnovers today. They did win the turnover margin, so that's a Sean McDermott hallmark right there.
Yep.
Uh,
Keep her going.
we pushed off the Cole Bishop interception until now. Kale,
Mm.
you can gush. You're allowed.
Yeah, Cole Bishop needed an interception so badly. This is a guy who has yet to have too much success on the field. And it seems every time he does something right, he does two things wrong because he just hasn't had the reps. And he's got speed. He just has to get the reps and that football IQ up. Huge moment for Cole Bishop to make that play. The Saints getting too cute. Yes, I know they're 0-3. It's 3rd and goal. You just got stopped twice inside the 10. Why not try something? He was open, right? Like if Olave gets that throw a little bit more up, it's a touchdown. And what a catch. I'm not even, again, Cole Bishop, you got a receiver throwing it. You got to bat that ball down. But to catch that with one hand, incredible. And speaking of one-hand catches, Brandon Cook on the other side of the field, Saints could have had the lead if he was able to handle that one. I think that was Rattler's really only mistake of the day, crucial mistake there. So, yeah, we got one-hand catch. They did not get their one-hand catch, and that was the difference of this game.
Yep, fine margins here in the NFL. But the defense, that was a huge play, like you mentioned, for Cole Bishop. I'm happy for him, but you brought up that Brandon Cooks play. That was another typical example of our two deep safeties getting split
Yep.
way too easily and letting a guy wide open over the middle. In January, that's a touchdown. No
Oh, yeah.
questions asked. That is a
Yep.
touchdown. The way this defense is currently playing as defense or turnover merchants, it's unsustainable. It's not possible to play like this in the playoffs. And this Bills team has shown that over the last few seasons. We haven't had a really good defense, Kale, since 2019.
Mm-hmm.
When is Sean McDermott going to turn this around, huh? When is
Yeah.
Brandon Beane going to finally draft good, legit players? Because right now, we are drafting guys like Landon Jackson in the 3rd round and not even playing him. He's not even making the match day squad. It's been 4 weeks where he's been a healthy scratch cow. So I'm a little frustrated by that. The offense is great. That was never the question, though. This defense really desperately needs to turn it up.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this defense, like you said, 2019, last good defensive year. Sean McDermott's a defensive minded coach. You got Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Your offense is fine. You don't need an offensive minded coach as much as I'd like one. Like, again, you need, if this defense could go out and play like the Browns defense, elite defense, you're not losing a game with Josh Allen on the other side. But it's year after year after year. No matter who they play, this defense stoops down to their competition and plays on the same level. And we saw it with the Saints today, right? That the first couple of drives, it was just like, they're just marching on our defense just like it's nothing. And this is a team that got shelled by the Seahawks and had zero chance in that game past the first quarter. So it is something to be concerned about. Like you said, Brandon Beane's defensive draft picks have not really shown up. And when they do, Rousseau, Epinesa, Ed Oliver, it seems to be in these short little sprints and then they disappear again. Cole Bishop finally getting going a little bit. We'll see what happens with him, like we just mentioned. You mentioned Landon Jackson, and I know coming in to the season, he had a little bit of an injury, so I think he's still working back from that. Does that have any effect why he's not playing still? Probably not. It was supposed to be some injury that he, by week 1 of the preseason should have been good to go for. So I don't think that has any effect. Maybe they just want to keep getting him more reps. Maybe they're
Hmm.
waiting for the right time. I don't know. But to draft that guy so early and for it to be a questionable pick as is and him not seeing the field yet, kind of mind boggling there. Walker, I think, has been a huge bright spot, though. The run defense, he's been the only thing keeping that run defense from being worst in the league. He made a couple of nice plays today. Even downfield, he's been making a couple of nice tackles, 5 yards down the field, 10 yards down the field. He's able to chase guys down. Sanders, the other D tackle they drafted, made a nice play today. He was part of a bull rush with Terrell Bernard and was kind of shutting down the near side. So Bernard was able to get more coverage and a little bit safer instead of having to dive. Last
Yeah.
thing I want to talk about on the defense is Joey Bosa. Couple errors today with the
Hmm.
run defense. He continues to shoot in instead of shoot out wide, and he gets beat around the edge. He has to set the edge. He has to set the edge. And especially with this Bills defense where nobody's there because they're guarding grass 30 yards down the field in zone coverage, you have to set the edge. Other than that, Joey Bosa had a couple nice pass rushes, and I'm not concerned about him at all. But when you got Rousseau on the other side, did he get through once this game? Did Rousseau break through once this game? I think he had
I,
a nice
I,
tackler too. But yeah, you need to kind of spread the love on that defensive line. And I think Joey Bosa is going to be the last guy I'm going to complain about. I'm not picking on him at all. It's just you got to set the edge there. And when that defensive line looks bad and he's the only one consistently getting in, I'm not going to complain about it.
It's in the name, right? These guys
Yeah.
understand. They can read. I hope.
Yeah.
But my complaint, I agree with you completely on both sides. Still think he's been our best D lineman through the first 4 games. Greg Rousseau, my complaints from last week extended to this week. He's been invisible. He's been, really, really anonymous. And it's disappointing. They just gave him $80 million over 4 years.
Yep.
And this is how Rousseau repays the team for that. So not great from him. But the Bills did win, folks. As much as our tone has been negative throughout this episode so far, they did beat the Saints by 12 points. The Bills scored 30 points again. Every single
Yep. Yep.
one of their games this year have been them scoring 30 plus points. So offense has certainly not been a problem. James Cook, not a problem. Josh Allen, of course, is the MVP. He's still the best quarterback in football right now. I know Danny Jones exists. I know Colts fans are lurking out there, but let's
Indiana
let's
Jones.
let's settle down, Cal. Settle down, folks.
You're pretty close to there too. Is there a buzz? Is there a Colts fan buzz going on in Louisville? I mean, I know it's not
Nope.
not super close, but no, nothing.
Well, so a couple weeks ago, my brother and I we went to the music festival. We got to see Goo Goo Dolls. It was fantastic,
Okay.
awesome
Good stuff. Good
performance.
stuff.
Nick, that's my brother. If you viewers are not aware, Nick wore his Bills jersey, and my other friend was wearing a Colts jersey. We got more Go Bills. We got 6 Go Bills throughout the day, and 1 Colts. Go Colts, whatever. Even though it was
There
fun,
you
and
go.
he wasn't. My brother wasn't even the only one wearing a Bills uniform. There was like multiple different Bills fans there, probably all there for Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah.
That's understandable. Um, but there's not really much. All this to say, there's no buzz.
Yeah. No buzz. And
It's
it's crazy to see the Bills uniforms, the Ireland game today. They panned the
yeah,
crowd, and there's a lot of Steelers fans, a lot of Vikings fans. Europe's starting to get divided. They're picking teams. It's less of a mismatch. A whole lot of Josh Allen jerseys in the crowd, though, as well.
absolutely. Buffalo is the Earth's team. The Cowboys may claim America. The Bills got the world. All right.
Hmm.
It's fantastic. We love it. And they certainly helped their case again here by beating the Saints, moving to 4-0. This is the first time I believe that the Bills are undefeated after 4 games since 2020. Isn't that right? Usually they're
Yeah, I think
three
so.
and
It's been
one
a
at
while,
four.
right? They seem to always start 3-1, right? So
I
yeah.
know, yeah. And they always they see the problem is though, they get on this early season high and then there's a mid-season lull where they lose 2 games that they
Hmm.
shouldn't and then they'll finish off the year great. But that's Bill's currently on that pace right now. They play the Patriots next Sunday night. So
That'll be a banger.
for all of you 1 p.m. lovers out there, I'm sorry. Cal, are you more of a 1 p.m. game or you like the late night prime times?
So I would say before I was streaming every game, I was more of a 1 o'clock game. Just get the game over with. I could watch every other game on a separate screen. We're having a good time. Now I kind of like these primetime games because next week I can Sunday relax, get home, whatever, do my thing, and then red zone, watch that 4 o'clock slate. That's when this upcoming Sunday there's probably baseball on and some other stuff. I'll watch all the sports, whatever. Then I'll dial in for the Bills game and I'll have the full day. Right now, we do the 1 o'clock game, do the podcast over the 4 o'clock slate. Ravens Chiefs on right now as we're recording this,
Yep,
and
I got it on
should
my
be a
phone.
should be a banger game. Yep. But most times I probably won't watch the 4 o'clock game and then circle back to football at 8 o'clock. So I would say streaming the games, I do like the primetime games, especially Sunday night. Sunday night's probably my favorite, just because you'll have the football all day. What about you?
I'm a 1 p.m. guy just
Yeah.
because it's easiest now with us having to record the podcast immediately after it. Because
Yeah.
no one know or you know this, but the viewers may not. My Mondays are completely cooked. I have 3 classes going from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So I'm really just totally unavailable. So with these prime times, it's really tough because we got to stay up till midnight, record 20 minutes of stuff, and then move on. So.
Yeah, they're not
It,
Mickey Mouse classes either. You got to mention
no,
that because
no,
three classes could mean, yeah,
this is law school, folks. It's not
yeah,
not easy. It's not marketing 101 or communication. No, no offense to marketing
uh,
and communication majors, all right? That's
uh,
yeah, but anyways, Cal, there is another team in Buffalo whose season is, as we mentioned last week, starting up. The Sabres. had their first full week of preseason. They played 4 games. They beat the Columbus Blue Jackets twice, 4-0 on Monday, 2-1 on Tuesday, and then they split with the Red Wings. They lost 5-2 in Detroit, and then they beat Detroit 5-2 here in Buffalo. Uh, the first thing I want to talk about, Cal, is the Sabres announcing the continuation of the KeyBank Center lease. Um, how do you feel about this?
That's good news. I think they again there was a quote that said they're committed to keeping not only the team but the arena. So it looks like this is the first step in a renovation. And I'm not saying a minor renovation, new scoreboard, new roof. This is going to be a major renovation, I think, in the future. It's a first step, but they're pushing it off, right? It feels like we'll wait till we get a little closer and then we'll announce the big plan and the big expansion. But this is kind of like a bridge deal. I know it's a little bit longer than your typical NHL bridge deal, but for arenas and keeping teams in cities, it's a bridge deal, right? Only till
Hmm.
2031. With that being said, that also means that we probably won't see a whole lot of improvements to the arena until they announce that big plan. A lot of people are saying, well, why would they change the navy blue signage if they haven't for this long when they're just going to have to change it again when they do the full scale renovation? New sound system, though, was part of this deal, I guess, in some sort of capacity. Apparently, you can sit in the KeyBank Center, talk to the person next to you, hear them, and hear the loudspeaker at the same time. Revolutionary idea. I
Oh,
cannot believe I'm testing it out. I'm going to the home opener most likely. If not, I'll go to one of those first games because tickets are cheap. One of the first games that
oh, as Cal cuts it.
yeah,
Oh,
I'll viewers know if it's actually improved.
yeah. So what Cal was trying to say, folks, because he kind of cut in and out with my
A little
internet
bit of
being.
lag.
Yeah,
I
there's a
think we're
little
back.
little lag. You can hear him at least. My internet connection is unstable apparently because of course it is. Just don't worry, we'll get this sorted out. But Cal is gonna make sure KeyBank Center is good for us. All right. Thanks, Cal, for your diligent investigative journalism there. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Always on the scene. But yeah, the Sabres looking good. I know you're going to bring up the games. The one thing I want to say before anyone even starts talking is this is our year. We're making the playoffs because coming into this year, I am the least excited for a Sabres season I've ever been in my life, and that is a fact. There is nothing to be excited about besides maybe Hellenius and Merca, and we'll talk about them, but they're probably not going to be in the lineup at all this season. Maybe a little later on for Hellenius, but I'm a little bit excited because I have such low expectations. See all these analytic people putting us around 90, 92 points, maybe sneaking in the wild card. Whole lot of home games at first. Every time we touch is going to be the goal song, most likely. What's not to like? What's not to like?
See, that's wow, Cal, that's a lot of optimism. I'm gonna take the other route, all right? We're going down dark, dangerous paths with my rationale, my thinking, my headspace, because I still think the Sabres are not going to make the playoffs. I saw those same Athletic. They're doing an analytics series projecting out all the points, and generally the Athletics point projection model is very accurate. I saw Jay Fresh. He's a big
Yep.
Twitter account too. He also put this bill or Bills, the Sabres around 91, 92 points, which yeah, that would be enough for a playoff spot theoretically. Here's the problem though. This is Buffalo. This is the Sabres. I'm not even going to have expectations for this team. They didn't make any huge acquisitions. Yes, some
Yeah.
of the youngsters look good. Yes, Ryan Johnson is probably making this team as the seventh defenseman. Woo.
Woohoo! Jacob Bryson.
Yeah, I'm still until the puck drops on, well, about a week and a half from now. Jeez, a week and a
We're
half.
close.
Yeah, depression begins, Cal.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the seesaw effect between the Bills making us happy and the Sabres making us really depressed. But anywho, enough
Yeah.
enough of our just lollygagging around the Sabres. There are a few things I want to talk about here. Most notably, the games don't really matter. We know the team is pretty much set in stone. Injuries do matter though, so I'm gonna read out to you the injury report real quick. Yuri Kulik is day to day. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is apparently going to return next week. Matthias Samuelsson with another phantom injury here.
Yep.
Not unknown when he's going to come back. I'm crying so badly right now. And
Assistant
Jordan
cap.
and Jordan Greenway is still projected to miss the beginning of the season. So,
Mm.
with those injuries in mind, Cal, Does any of those make you too concerned about this team as we approach the beginning?
I'll just go one by one here. Cooley, day to day, they said he should be back, if not for the next preseason game, by the last one. So I'm not concerned about him at all. We move on to, let's see, who do we want to tackle next? Let's tackle Greenway. Greenway, again, we know he's injury prone. When he's on the ice, he's actually not been that bad in a Sabres uniform, but getting him on the ice has been the tricky part. He'll be back, so there's no way he could re-injure himself. He'll be back in at least 2 weeks, and we'll see what happens there. UPL, I'd love to get him in some game action before the regular season starts, because if he cannot play in a game until that home opener, do we trust him getting the start after not playing preseason? Probably not. That leaves Alex Lyon probably as your starting goaltender for opening night. Who knows what happens there? We'll see in these Penguins games. Then last but not least, we have to talk about Matthias Samuelsson. Another injury to the guy who cannot stay healthy again. We paid him millions and millions of dollars after playing, 70 something games. He, ever since getting that contract, has been awful. They continue to give him the assistant captain. They continue to speak words of wisdom about him. Lindy Ruff said he's in the best shape of his life. Matthias Samuelsson, I'll give him one more chance. Again, he has the size, he has the ability, right? He has the intangibles, but the issue with him has just been toughness, right? And I'm not saying injuries. I know some people's genetics, they get injured easier, but he simply does not have toughness on the ice. And it has nothing to do with the injuries. Like I said, it's all about standing up for his teammates, getting the extra hit. He hasn't done that. He hasn't been tough in front of the net. So he really has to have a big year, or else I think a lot of Sabres fans, if they already haven't, they're going to dump him off and just be done with him. There were rumors that they're trying to buy him out. This guy gets the assistant captain role. That makes me think these probably weren't true. With that being said, he's in a make or break year for sure.
Absolutely, as is this entire core. Alex Tuch, Cal, remains unsigned. There was that report from
Yep.
Pierre LeBrun that the two sides aren't even in the same ballpark right now with what they want for a new deal. And someone brought this up on Twitter. I'm going to restate it here. But if you sign Alex Tuch long term to a pretty sizable cap hit, we're talking $9-10 million for 6-7 years. Tuch is already 30 years old. This
Mm,
could turn into the next Jeff Skinner contract. And
yeah.
that's probably going to play into Kevin Adams' thinking right now by offering less term, less money.
Now, the good news with that, though, is that the cap is going up significantly. Will the Sabres spend to that cap? Probably not. With that being said, though, if you believe that if you're somebody who thinks Terry Pagula has an internal cap and the cap is going up, does it really matter about the money? No. With that being said, Alex Tuch is getting older, but he's the heart and soul of this team, right? Him and Dowling are the absolute heart and soul of this team. Alex Tuch, the hometown boy, somewhat. He's from Syracuse, I know, but hometown boy. You cannot afford to lose Alex Tuch. I get it. They're off by a substantial mark right now, which doesn't really make sense because we had reports in the offseason that they were very close. So I don't know what happened there. Some people saying Alex Tuch's camp are willing to take a little less money if the franchise is in the right direction by the quarter season mark. So maybe we see something like that where all of a sudden the Sabres start winning games and Alex Tuch gets his money or whatever. Or if the Sabres start losing games, there's reports that, hey, Tuch says, look, I love here. I wanted to help this team win, but you guys are just incompetent, more incompetent than I thought you guys were. I'm out of here. And that could easily happen too. Do I think Alex Tuch is going to lose a step if you sign him long term? Absolutely, right? He's older and he's only going to get older and slower and worse as a player. But right now, you can't afford to lose Alex Tuch. We lost him. I think it was 2 seasons ago. We were kind of near the playoffs and we lost him for a stretch and team completely fell out of the race. So I'm absolutely in favor of signing Tuch. I'm okay overpaying because the cap's going up and we don't spend money anyway. And you're not going to be able to sign a free agent if you don't make the playoffs. So I'm all in on signing him. You got to do it.
I guess, I suppose. I think the two camps are just waiting for some of their market comparables maybe to get
Yeah.
tied on themselves to deals.
Hmm.
Adrian Kempe is probably the closest comp to Alex Tuch right now in the free agency market or in the contract negotiation market. So it sounds like they're waiting maybe for Kempe and Jack Eichel to sign their deals with their respective teams before the two sides come together here and agree to something of their own. But I agree with you to a certain degree about him being the heart and soul. I just look, Jeff Skinner was also the heart and soul Jack Eichel was like,
Yep.
"Hey, you trade away or Skinner or you let him walk, then you're gonna be having a real unhappy camper with me, pal." And
Mhm.
we signed Skinner, and we ended up buying him out 5 years later, or 6 years later, excuse me. So maybe less term, maybe 5 years. I think I'm on the record of
Yeah.
saying 5 years, maybe $9 million a year or $8 million. That's where
5 by 8. Yeah, that'd be
that
nice.
yeah, that would take Alex Tuch to his 35th year
Mhm.
um, of living on this earth, not playing in
Yeah,
the
not in the
NHL.
league.
Not in the league. That would be insane. Yeah.
Uh,
He's not Frank Gore, folks. But
yeah.
that would be my ideal. But Cal, anything else you want to say here today before we
One
go?
more quick point. You bring up Jack Eichel and Alex Tuch, two guys on expiring deals, all that. What if the two sides come together and we make it a little bit of a trade, okay? Tuch for Eichel, both guys change the scenery. We'll even throw in, I don't know, Peyton
Peyton.
Krebs. Sure, yeah. What do
That's
you think of that?
I like the idea. Yeah,
Mm.
maybe they're probably gonna ask for a first round pick too, so might as well give them a guy like Isak Roseanne or Noah Osland with that. How about that?
Yeah, you could probably give them both too, because Oslin's been good, but Isak Rosian, a little bit of a disappointment with the Sabres. I've been told their management and coaching they don't like Isak Rosian, so we'll see if he gets dealt in the future because he's had too good of AHL stats to just leave down there. You got to either trade him, move on, or give him another chance.
Yeah, and I'm sure the Vegas Golden Knights and any theoretical Eichel trade value Noah Osland more, just like the
Yes.
Sabres. The Sabres,
Mhm.
the fact that Noah Osland is still with the squad right now with the chance to make this lineup, it's something to watch, folks.
Mhm.
Definitely something to watch. Radim Murtka also still with the squad. He's probably getting sent back to the WHL though. Just
99%, yeah.
yeah, there's no chance they throw him into the fire this early in his career. He looked okay in flashes, but probably not consistent enough to make it and stay in
Mhm.
an NHL squad night after night. So yeah, I guess Cal, that's it. What was this episode again? This was 19, right?
I believe so, yeah, because I think next week's the big 20th spectacular. We'll be bouncing off the walls. It's gonna be a late night recording too, I think. We're
We're
gonna have
gonna
a
be
grand old time.
we're gonna be exhausted as well. I'm gonna cutting
Yep.
you off every other word, trying to speed this thing up. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a happy,
Of course it will.
fantastic atmosphere.
Uh,
Uh, but anyways, Cal, thanks for joining me on this 19th episode of Buffalo Talk Center, folks. If you're still watching, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Join the Discord. They're doing great content over there as well on the YouTube here. Make sure to subscribe and like and do the thing. But I am Don. This is Kale. This here Buffalo Talk Center, and we shall see you next week. Goodbye.